Welcome home. Are you glad to be here this morning? Turn to your neighbor and say, I'm glad you're here. Now turn to another neighbor and say, I'm glad you're here. And now turn to another neighbor and say, I'm glad I'm here.
Hey, Brenda.
I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Did you notice how the energy rose each time we did that? Welcome home. Why unity indeed? An interesting topic. I remember the first time that I went out to Unity Village to study, and there was an orientation the evening before, and the very first words that I heard were welcome home, and tears just began to stream down my face. Now, I had been around Unity for a while at that point, and I say around very loosely. But it was that sense of knowing that I truly was home. I always love to hear people's stories about why they came to Unity and why they stuck around. And my own personal story, as many of you have heard, is very simple. The first Unity service that I ever attended, I couldn't tell you a thing about what was said or the songs or anything really about the service itself. What I do remember is that I was going out to get in my car, and I had this profound sense of thinking, wow, I just went to church and I don't feel guilty. And for me, that was a very profound moment because I grew up, in a very fundamental Protestant church, and there is nothing wrong with that. It got me where I needed to get to. And I'm not here to judge that in any way today. Many years I spent judging those people down the street. And I realized that doesn't really accomplish anything either because I learned what I needed to learn. I had the lessons that I needed to experience there. And so, for me to get to a place of feeling like I am home and I am welcome here was a huge journey because I was going down a very dark road. And there was no good end in sight. So to be able to find a place that welcomed me, no matter what, was so powerful. And it was so healing. And I've always said and believed that Unity truly saved my life. Whether it's my physical life or certainly my spiritual life, I know that it brought me home. And I know that you're here this morning by divine appointment. Whether this is your first time here or your thousandth, or who knows how many we can count, but no matter what, you are here by divine appointment. Our soul always reaches out and finds what we need for our healing. There are several things that Unity gives us, and I'm not going to give a talk this morning on all the principles of unity and how we practice that. You have to come to Sunday school to get that. And Terry's going to be teaching a class on Wednesday night for new members about what unity is all about. And anyone is welcome to attend that. And I was around unity for a lot of years before I even knew what unity was. but it was more of a feeling that kept bringing me back. And it was in here. So I invite you to think about this morning, what brought you here? What attracted you to this place? And again, if it's your first time, did you read something? Did you hear something? Did you know somebody? Were you just ready for something new, something different? If you've been here for 20, 30, 50 years, what brings you back? So just think about that. I think about when Unity first began, and there's, the whole history of Unity, and there's a lot about Unity that we can read and study about. But as I understand Unity, it happened in a moment. Myrtle Fillmore is one of our co-founders of Unity. She and her husband, Charles Fillmore, attended a talk, and this was in the late 1880s. And the speaker said something that caught Myrtle's attention. And to go back and give you just a brief history, Myrtle was about 40 years old at that point, and she had been diagnosed with tuberculosis as a teenager. And at this point in time in her life, she was only given about 6 months to live. When she went to this talk, and as she was leaving, the words settled into her being that said, "You are a child of God, therefore you do not inherit illness. You are a child of God." She took those words and she set about to heal herself. And it took her about 2 years of talking to her body. It wasn't simply a matter of saying affirmations, I am well, I'm whole, I'm healed, it was more than that. What Myrtle did was that she sent loving energy to every part of her. She gave herself this incredible love. She apologized to her body for any ways that she may have harmed herself or abused her body over those years. So it was more than the words. It was her. She set her intention, and she sent the love. And in about 2 years, her body was healed, and she lived another 40-something years. Does that mean that we're all going to experience a similar kind of physical healing? No. But we all come for our own lessons to learn. Some of the things that Unity gave me was just learning that God is love. God is love. God is not this harsh, cruel being that I learned growing up. God is love. And if God is love, and I'm made in the image of God, that means what? I am love. Now, it's taken me a long time to kind of wrap, my thoughts around that lesson. And there are some days that I still struggle with that lesson. I am love because I am connected with this Spirit, this divine Christ within me. I am. Because God is, and because God is, I am. God is principle. We learn that God is principle. Principle is this, this idea. God's not a person or a place or a thing. It's all of us. It's all of us. Unity reminds me of that. I'm reminded that I have a way of living today, if I should so choose to, that gives me the opportunity to learn to love more and to open my heart wider. Now, when I first came here, it wasn't this particular church, but it doesn't matter what the building looks like. I used to sit in the back. And I'm not pointing out anybody that's sitting in the back, by the way. But I did that for many years. And I slipped out as fast as I could because all this, love and stuff was a lot to take in. You may feel that way occasionally too. When you're taught to believe that you're not loved and that you are not lovable and that church is a place you go to hear about all the things you're doing wrong, then it's not always easy to, change that, ship around. It's like turning the Titanic around. And so, it took a while. And here's what I used to do. I used to come and I'd slip out. I'd go out the back doors. And then throughout the week, if I thought about it, I'd think, well, those people, they didn't even say hello to me. Well, guess what? They couldn't because I was already in my car before they got out the door. And that's okay, too. It's okay that it took me a long time to be able to stick around just a little bit longer and dip my toe in the water. It's okay. I'm just grateful and thankful that I kept coming back because what I found here I didn't find anywhere else. So I kept coming back. And I'd hear something and it's like, oh yeah, that sounds good. And then I'd start my week and completely forget all that stuff. So it took a lot of years and a lot of study. It wasn't really until I started studying, unity principles and what it's really about, and that I could really say that my life started changing. But that's okay. Now, the other thing about coming to unity is just how gracious you are and how loving and the energy that you can feel in this room, when you're standing up here on Christmas Eve and you're being all serious and reading from Scripture and you're saying, and Christ was born in Birmingham. And instead of falling apart and wanting to go through the floor, I was, because you just loved me by laughing with me. I knew you weren't laughing at me. Oh. I remember the first time I believe that I was ever asked to speak here many years ago. Jane Bartholow called me up and she said, we'd like for you to speak. And, I was like, oh, well, I don't know if I'm ready. And Jane said very lovingly, she said, it's unity. If you sneeze, they'll applaud. And isn't that true? Isn't it more lovely to be in a place where, you can sneeze or you can trip or you can, mix up your words or read something that's not there or whatever it is and know that you are just loved and welcome just as you are. Just as you are. Just as we are. It's a beautiful thing. So we have all these beautiful tools that we get to learn here. It's a way of living. It's not a dogma. We don't have a creed that we go by. We don't have rules. I don't know how many of you were rule breakers anyway, but you give me something and tell me I have to do it, then I'm probably going to do the opposite. I'm just that rebellious. But this is the way of, we're offered these beautiful principles. And we have the opportunity to put them into practice. So we learn that through prayer and meditation, that prayer is not about trying to change God. It's not about trying to change God's mind. It's like, well, where is that thing I'm praying for, and how come it's not happening, God, and why are you being so slow about it? It's not about changing God, because God is unchangeable. God is absolute. What prayer does is changes me. It changes me when I can pray and know that I am this divine essence of the Christ. That I am unlimited potential and unlimited power and unlimited loving. I am unlimited because I am one with God. We are one as God. We were reading this morning from Eric Butterworth's book, Unity, The Quest for Truth. And I love where he says, God is you. God is you. And then he says, it doesn't say, I am God. It doesn't say that. Because what would happen then is our little ego mind would go on a trip and say, oh, well, I am God. It's not that. It says, God is you. Think about that. Just let that kind of settle into your being. If God is you, then we live and move, as Paul says. We live and move and have our being in God. We live and we move and we have our being in that place. That is God. So what that tells me is that if I can come from that place more often and live from that place of love and truth, how different can we make our world? I always love to use practical examples because that's what Unity started out calling itself, is, the School of Practical Christianity, and Charles Fillmore wrote a lot about living practical Christianity. And when I first heard that, I don't know when, who knows when it sunk into my brain, but at some point, like, practical Christianity. Does that mean I got to live it? Oh, it means I can't just come and on Sunday mornings and talk about it and love and get hugs and feel all wonderful for an hour or so. So, yeah, it means that we take it wherever we go. We take this, because wherever we go, there we are. Anyway, so I may as well take my Christness with me. There's a word, Christness. And it means that when I leave here and I'm all full of light and love and feeling great and feeling wonderful, then I go to the grocery store and the cashier is like taking forever and she's being kind of rude and nasty, and do I forget where I just came from? Or do I think and remember, if we are all one, what if she's having a bad day? What if something tragic just happened in her life? And if I can just, even in that moment, change my perception and offer a kind word or a smile. I used this example this morning of, rushing to work and, walking as quickly as I can down the hallways because I'm usually just, getting to work just in the nick of time or a little bit later. And, it's like, I got to get to my office. I got to be at work. I got to show up on time. And somebody's coming down the hallway and they're looking lost. Where do I go? Do I stop? and help them? Or do I keep on going because I got to get to work on time and it's more important that I show up and be on time and be the perfect human being that they want me to be so that I can get my paycheck? And, our mind just goes on this wheel. Or do I just, say, that's not important. What's more important here? Jesus taught this principle in the beautiful parable about the, what is it? The guy that was laying on the side of the road. Thank you. The Samaritan, the Good Samaritan, two other travelers didn't stop. They kept on going. And the Samaritan, the one that was least expected to stop and help the dying man, is the one that stopped. That is what we are called to. That is what we are called to in our everyday lives. About how to be kind to others. How to live from a place of compassion. How to learn to love ourselves and treat ourselves with compassion and forgiveness, letting go of all the perceptions that we've been wronged and we should hold you accountable for the rest of your life, and all these beautiful principles. We are called to love. We are called to be love. We are called here to be the expression of the Christ. So as you go through your week this week, whatever day-to-day happenings are going on wherever you are, whether you're in your car or you're at the store or you're at work or you're talking on the phone with your family or whoever it is, whatever it is, call yourself to love. Call yourself to love. And practice what that feels like. Just try it on for a day. If it doesn't work, you can give it back up. So I call you and invite you to come from that principle of love. And for me, that is why unity. So let's close with prayer. We are in the divine presence of being. We allow whatever words that we need to sink into our hearts today and release anything that does not resonate with us. We are grateful for this opportunity to come together, to know our oneness, and to share in that love as we go out and create a beautiful world.